The man worked with everything he had. Whatever fell into his hands, he did with all his might. Not because he was guaranteed success, but because he understood something many never do. All he could control was how hard he worked. What came back to him was never fully in his control. Still, that wasn't enough to keep most men going. Failure breaks spirits, even disciplined ones. But the Lord had blessed this man with something rare, childlike faith. Every new endeavor, every new attempt brought him the same joy as the very first. Hope lived in him like it had never been disappointed, and so he set out on a journey in search of success. After days of traveling, he reached his first destination. There, he met his first partner, a wanderer. At first, things were promising. When the road was smooth, the wanderer stayed close. But when trials came, when patience and commitment were required, the wanderer slowly disappeared. And the moment a shinier offer appeared, the wanderer took it without hesitation. Gone. The man stood there in disbelief. After all the work they had done, after all the time invested, how could someone leave so easily? Yet, even in despair, his conscience was clean. He had worked honestly. He had been truthful. He had done his part. Still, the silence that followed left a scar. He gathered his tools and continued onward. But something had changed. This time, his steps were heavier, his excitement quieter. The wanderer hadn't said goodbye. One morning, they were simply gone, and that hurt. It made the man question himself. Was I not skilled enough? Did I not work hard enough? Or maybe this just isn't for me. His head hung low as the sun grew unbearable. Eventually, he stopped beneath a large tree, sat in the shade, and took a sip of water. That's when he heard it, a deep, calm, wise voice from the other side of the tree. It didn't frighten him. It made him feel safe. The voice asked, "If you went to an apple tree seeking apples and found apples, would you be surprised?" The man frowned, puzzled. "No," he replied. The voice continued, "And if you went to a river looking for water and found water, would you be shocked?" "No," the man answered, now slightly annoyed. The voice paused, then said, "Then why are you surprised when a wanderer wanders?" The words settled deep. Wanderers chase what shines. The voice continued. They leave when something shinier appears. Some say it is their nature. Others say it is simply their choice. Before the man could speak, the presence faded, but the message remained. And with it, his strength returned. He continued his journey. Soon, he met the second person. This one was eager, excited, full of passion, at least on the surface. They cared deeply about how everything looked. The outside was polished, impressive, admired by others, but inside, nothing was being built. When challenges arose, when deep, uncomfortable conversations were needed, this person was nowhere to be found. And when the internal flaws finally showed on the outside, they couldn't handle it. They left. The man felt disappointment again, But this time, understanding followed closely behind, and once more the voice returned. "Shallow ground receives quickly," it said, "but it cannot hold when the weight becomes real." When challenges arose, when deep, uncomfortable conversations were needed, this person was nowhere to be found. And when the internal flaws finally showed on the outside, they couldn't handle it. They left. The man felt disappointment again, but this time understanding followed closely behind, and once more the voice returned. "Shallow ground receives quickly," it said, "but it cannot hold when the weight becomes real." The journey continued. Then came the third encounter. This one was different. They were talented, capable, present, but insecure. They admired the man's work and feared it. They worried that one day he would outgrow them, that he would find someone better, that they would be left behind. Every compliment the man received felt like a threat. So, insecurity did what insecurity does best. It sabotaged. Dreams were dismissed. Growth was discouraged. Ambition was trimmed down to something small, manageable, mediocre. Not for excellence, but for control. When the man discovered this, his heart broke. He loved working with them, but his calling was greater than comfort. And if his growth threatened them, he had to let go. He confronted them calmly, gathered his tools, and walked away weary, but clean of conscience. Then the voice spoke again. "Thorns do not hate the seed," it said softly. "They fear how tall it might." At last, the final destination. Here, the man met someone different. They listened. They worked. They asked questions. When challenges came, they leaned in, not away. When roots needed to grow, they dug deeper. They weren't threatened by growth. They welcomed. And slowly, something beautiful happened. The work flourished. It multiplied. It bore fruit far beyond what the man imagined. And in that moment, everything became clear. The seed was never the problem. The work was never wasted, and the failures were never failures. They were lessons, because the journey was never about changing the seed. It was about enduring long enough to find the soil God prepared.